Episode 16 of This Is Us Too is brought to you by MinuteWithMary.com. Minute with Mary is a great place to kind of have fun with new makeup and gain some confidence with your creativity. Go to MinuteWithMary.com or search the hashtag MinuteWithMary on Facebook to find out more.
I do know what I used to do when I was nervous. About a big work presentation or about anything. I talked to your dad. He was my person. He was the one that could steady you when the world felt like it was spinning.
Yeah, it was my dad. It's very true.
Yeah, you remind me of him, you know that? The way that you move your hands when you talk. The way you walk across a room. Sometimes you remind me of him so much that the hair on my arm stands up. It's why it breaks my heart that you don't like me, Kevin. Because when I'm around you, I feel like I get a little piece of my best friend back.
Miguel,
Now you are Jack Pearson's son. You have him inside of you. And when you're nervous or you're at your most nerve-wracking moment, the curtain's about to go up, all you have to do is remind yourself of that. Think about what he'd do, and you'll be fine.
From Cranston, Rhode Island, welcome to This Is Us Too. It's a podcast dedicated to This Is Us on NBC. So sit back, relax, and let's all have a good cry. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Mary Larson.
My name's Blake, and I cannot believe that Miguel has had the unbelievable honor of having 2 openings in a row on this show.
I know.
I hate it.
Our boy Miggy. Our boy.
No, he's your boy.
Oh my goodness gracious.
He's beginning to become my boy. I'll say that. I hate that I'm starting to like him. Like, what the hell, man? You can't set me up for failure all season, then be like, sorry, you're gonna have to like this guy now.
This is the show. This is what this show does.
My goodness.
It's really, gosh. I mean, I feel like all of our listeners and all of our friends who watch this show, they say the same thing. You pull different things out of each episode. Each episode has something that speaks to you, and this episode really struck me in 2 different ways, because we've been starting to see Randall lose it. He's got the shakes. He's got the hippie shakes, but not really the hippie shakes, just the like, I'm really upset shakes. And what a lot of people don't know about Blake is that Blake used to have the shakes.
I did.
The handshakes.
It was not a fun thing.
No. And while I've seen this in Randall, it reminded me that you had the shakes. I mean, we don't even bring it up that frequently because it's now not a part of your life as much. And we still don't necessarily know what it was, but it was definitely emotional and stress. There were situations in different times in our time together when things were stressful just going on in your life outside of us, and you would have your hands be shaking. And so when I saw these all happening to Randall, it reminded me of your shakes. And then also how Kate isn't necessarily ready to talk about how her dad died. And I really... It would be hard not to compare how it is for me being your spouse, your partner, having you try to talk about your mom. And granted, you weren't there when your mom died, but you were still a teenager, and it still is something that doesn't get talked about a lot, and obviously, affects you. And so just there's these little bits from these episodes. There wasn't anything giant that I was like, yes, this is it. But just the fact that how difficult it must be for someone who is a partner to be with someone who had such a tremendous loss of a loving parent in their formative teenage years. I could see how it's hard for Toby, and I could see how it's hard for Kate. And it just makes me ache for you and for anyone else who's had that kind of a loss. right, Blake, so let's change this tune around. Give me some of the details about this episode.
Well, I appreciate the words that you did say, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It is difficult. I'm not going to lie. Anybody that has lost a parent, especially in their younger formative years, you guys, you all know. I mean, anybody who's lost a parent, you all know it's not easy, but especially when you're a teenager, it's that much harder. Anyway, the title was Jack Pearson's Son. Again, these titles are getting pretty by the book now. I mean, they boom, you know exactly where it's coming from. They're talking about exactly what we played at the beginning of this episode, which is the conversation between your boy Miguel and Kevin.
You know, I actually like the very simple nature of these episode titles because I feel like people listening to this podcast who watched the show when it was in real time, just hearing Jack Pearson's son, they're like, oh yeah, yep,
I know that one.
I know this episode. Yep,
Sure.
I know which one.
But there's also something to be said about like the leftovers and, the international assassin and the whole thing. And
I don't need that right now.
I'm all about that.
I don't need any mysterious things to be figured out.
I am all about the vague titles.
I know you are.
Or
so
like the minute ones. The Americans is famous for
who
that. Who
directed this episode?
Ken Olin, who also directed The Big Three and The Big Day. The Big Day being one of our favorite, I think our most favorite episode of This Is Us yet. And the writers were Isaac Aptaker and Elizabeth Berger, who were also the writers for Pilgrim Rick and are now also currently in real time. The This Is Us in season 2 are the actual showrunners of This Is Us. And you can kind of see why, because they've written one episode here so far in season 1 and now this one, and I'm pretty confident in saying that they kind of get it. I think they get it. They understand how to write for This Is Us. I think they understand the characters.
Yes.
And I think they're not too cheesy. So I
the right amount of cheese.
Just the right amount of like
It's not swimming in
schmaltz.
cheese. Yeah, it's not swimming in it. It's not like when you try to have a little chip, a little scoopy chip, and then it gets stuck and it gets lost in the cheese.
Yeah, and then you try to scoop it out with another chip, and
like,
it just sucks.
It's just part of the queso by that point. Just part of the queso.
Then it gets all soggy and gross.
You just have to give up on that.
You don't want any soggy. You don't want any soggy episodes.
No soggy cheese. So, what was your lemonade rating on a scale of 1 to 5?
Oh, I'm going first.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Usually you go first. I'm giving this one a 4.9. I really enjoyed this episode.
Me too.
There was one aspect that I did not like. And again, I think we're going to agree upon what we did not like. But this episode, I think, had all of the facets that you need in This Is Us. And also, I think it had a good plot line and a good a good arc for each of the characters.
Yes.
Something big happened to each of them. There was a story for each of them. It went. We're cooking with gas here.
We are.
We're cooking with gas.
Because of that, I'm giving this episode a big old 5. Big old 5.
Oh.
Yes, that little blip, Duke. That little blip was there. But you know what it was? It was like a fly on my car as I'm driving down the highway. I don't even care. I just heard a little on my windshield.
And that's why I'm in the 4.9 range.
I like it. All right, so it's time for the GBGs, the good, the bad, and the great.
Okay, what do you got?
Of this episode. So my good was Miggy's chat. Okay, good old Miguel. Who knew? Granted, we love his Christmas flair,
Freaking Miguel,
and his desire to wear the pilgrim hat, but Miguel's chat with Kevin. I am liking older Miguel so much better than younger Miguel, because younger Miguel's kind of a schmuck. You know, he's not
schmuck.
He's kind of a schmuck. You know, like Rebecca was probably like, "Who are you hanging out with tonight, Jack?" And Jack's like, "Miguel," and she's like, "Okay."
Oh, that schmuck.
All right, that schmuck. No, let's be real, because Rebecca ends up marrying him.
I don't think I've ever heard you say that word schmuck before.
You like it? You like it?
Freaking awesome.
But Miguel's chat with Kevin,
schmuck,
like calling him out.
I just snorted on a live podcast. Sorry, everybody. Oh man.
So as much as I hate that you say Miguel's my boy,
yep.
What Miguel did with Kevin, that conversation, that's a Mary Larson kind of conversation.
Oh yeah.
That's a I love you. What's going on?
Why do you hate me?
Why do you hate me? I think I've had that conversation with a few people in my life.
Oh my God.
Hi. I like you a lot.
You had that conversation with me this morning.
I did. And then you just told me to go eat because I was crabby. And I was like, oh, yes.
Why are you talking to me?
Why aren't you talking to me? Mary, have you eaten yet? No?
Okay, let's go get some brunch.
But just his honest chat about how, Jack was the person that he went to and he was worried, and how there's so many things about Kevin that remind him about Jack. And how just remind yourself that you're Jack Pearson's son. Huge. Way to go, Miguel.
Oh, that was great.
And to just lay it out on the table. Why do you hate me? I know. let's just put the cards out, and I liked that he did that.
Right.
My bad. Whew. I was gonna put Duke, but I have to put this in because this is my truth. This is my bad. Jack going to Valentine's dinner alone, eating those onion rings by himself, but getting the maker's mark.
Oh, yeah.
Having that drink and loving on that drink. When he first got it, I thought, okay, let's see what his reaction's going to be like. Is it going to be like he's going to let it sit there and then he's going to actually push it away?
Is he going to just smell it?
Yeah.
Nope. I thought that's what was going to happen.
Nope. He drank it and he enjoyed it and he kept it.
And Milo did a great job acting that out. It was just, it wasn't an overacting like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever.
Nectar from the gods.
But it was just like, oh yeah, that's what I remember. Like, yep. Okay, that's good.
So that's my bad because that's not good. My great for this episode was that shot of Kevin holding his crying brother.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna mic drop it at that. How about you? What was your GBG? You're gonna be much more eloquent than I. So
no, I wouldn't say
taking
eloquent.
Up the oxygen.
I would say the good for me. Listen, they have painted Jack as this saintly figure. He's almost mythologized within the construct of this show, which I think is great. I think it's really cool, especially for the younger Pearsons as they get older. It reminds me of Star Wars, The Force Awakens, when Rey's like, Luke Skywalker?
Yeah.
I thought he was a myth. Like that whole thing, like Jack Pearson, I thought he was a myth. That's how and this is both good and bad. And I think it's bad for Kate because she remembers Jack's funeral. And I think that's very hard for her. You've already mentioned it at the beginning of this episode. She can't even talk about it yet.
She can't even talk about how he died.
Right. And not only that, but that also breaks down what happens with Toby here. He is an indirect casualty of this because he seems like this perfectly happy guy, and for the most part, I think he is. But their deep dive, this conversation between the two of them, is what gets them to say maybe we probably shouldn't get married here. And I love when Toby's like, oh, why are you so jealous, Toby? You're usually so confident and carefree and well hung. I just like that Jack's death is adding finally some texture to their relationship other than Kate being I'm fat and Toby being the funny guy.
I'm starting to get nervous that Kate saw him die. Because the other two aren't as messed up. But Kate can't even say what happened.
Right.
So I'm nervous that something happened and
Kate was there.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's the reason. Somehow, some way she's the reason that he died.
Because there's something.
And
there's
that's why she has the ashes.
Shake. Yeah, there's something she cannot shake.
Right.
It's starting to get me a little nervous.
Totally agree. Or maybe she's the reason why he died, but only she knows she's the reason why he diid.
No matter what, she has some weird issue with his
something
death.
going on there.
Yeah.
Okay, the bad was let's just make it a perfect trilogy.
There you go.
Okay, let's make it the perfect trilogy. The triple crown threat goes to Duke. Listen, I am so happy that the Duke storyline is now over.
I hope it's over for good. I hope he was a blip.
He's gone. He's a nothing.
My mom and dad own the camp.
He was there only to provide an avenue for Toby and Kate to be separated and eventually have this conversation. That's what he was there for. Okay. But the whole thing of my mom and dad own this camp and you're gonna be gone because you talk so bad to me. And they would really kick her out of the camp because she spoke to Duke.
Yep.
Come on. If that ever happened to me, I'm in a business with my dad. And if that ever happened to me, my dad would be like, you are a dumbass. What are you doing?
Watch your mouth.
But like, what are you doing talking to somebody like that, number one? And this is a customer. Are you out of your mind?
Go back to scooping up poop.
Yeah, seriously.
Scoop some more poop, dude.
Oh my God, the guy's an adult and like he's, oh no.
An adult who lives at a camp who scoops poop.
And that's why I'm giving this one a 4.9. Because while Duke sucks, I'm glad that it's over, and all the rest of the episode was nearly perfect.
Yes. How about your great?
The great. Okay, now this kind of goes back to what I was saying about Jack. Jack, again, has been sanctified or almost mythologized, like I said, within this story. Meaning like Miguel saying to Kevin, you are Jack Pearson's son.
Yes.
Now, again, think of it like Luke Skywalker. You are Luke Skywalker's kid, or you are Anakin Skywalker's kid. Think about that. Think about how amazing that is. What would he do? And within our context as a viewer, we're also kind of mythologized with Jack too, because I look at it like I just want to be a dad or a husband like Jack. We talked about it last episode, right?
Yep.
Like you set the bar kind of high. And what this episode did, and why I'm really digging on Isaac Aptaker and Elizabeth Berger, is because while they're building this up in this episode and cashing in on all of that cachet, if you will, that they have that the whole writer's staff has created for Jack in This Is Us Season 1, Aptaker and Berger are deconstructing what that legend is in the same breath as this episode. You know, instead of being the man that we know and how he can be taking the time to figure out the situation with Rebecca and be like, no, okay, you dated a guy when he was 19, yada, yada. No, he shows Rebecca that he's jealous. And again, he's worried about this random jabroni. And ultimately, he falls back to alcohol. Yep. And that's why I'm saying this episode had a lot to do.
So much.
And it was great because as they're deconstructing Jack, they're also deconstructing Randall.
Yep.
At the same time. So that's what I loved about this episode. It takes that myth and it props it up, but it also shows you it's only a myth.
You know, it's like, yes, I want to know how Jack died, what happened to Kate with all of this, but and you know what's happening soon. Kevin's having sex. Listen, man.
I love how everyone was like, nope, don't know. Sorry, I'm out.
Kate's wearing eyeliner. The time is a-coming.
That's a good joke that keeps coming back, by the way.
Oh, Kate's eyeliner?
Kate's eyeliner phase.
Yes.
That's a good joke that keeps coming back.
I love it. You know, I'm a little nervous because we've been holding him on such a high pedestal, and everything's been great, and the Christmas lights in the apartment in the last episode, and now he's drinking. Is that why he's going to die?
What did I tell you? I said the last episode. Everything seemed great. Everything is at its best right before it becomes its worst. And that apartment scene, it feels like a goodbye scene. It feels like that's the best we're going to see Jack and
I'm so
Rebecca.
nervous. I'm so nervous about it. But as you said, it's good to see him be real. I think when people are out of your lives, when they're past or just the relationship's over, it's so easy just to remember those great things. And as kids, since Jack died when they were so young, they didn't necessarily know this side of him.
Right.
Unless Rebecca told them.
And I don't think she would
know, especially, exactly, like they don't know all of that aspect of him. So it's very easy to hold him on such a high pedestal.
And it's also easy for the older generation to kind of wipe those things away so that those things kind of get lost in time. You know, you have Miguel saying to Kevin, you are Jack Pearson's son. You have his blood in you. But you know what that means? You have an alcoholic's blood in you too.
Crap.
And Kevin doesn't, as of right now, from what the show is showing us, he doesn't necessarily know that.
Yep.
I'm sure he may have there are things that have happened in my family that I found out about years later where I was like, oh my God, had I known about that, I probably would have had a different relationship with that person than what I had. And, you know, I think every family has that. Yeah, I found stuff out about my grandmother, like how she treated my mother. And once I heard that, I was like, you know, I'm done. I'm not I'm not. And then
Meme.
she died. Meme died, and I didn't even go. We went to the funeral. We did. We did. But I hadn't talked to her in years, and it's probably not a good thing, but that happened. So things get wiped away, and you can see how that's happening a little bit with Jack, which is great. I think that's great fodder for a show.
Yes. And as a realistic character, that there are goods and bads, and that, here's Miguel saying, gosh, I wish I had your relationship. And he doesn't know what's really all going on.
Right.
And this is it. Everyone from what they see of Jack and Rebecca, it's hunky-dory, and they don't see this kitchen fight. They don't see Jack having Valentine's Day dinner alone. And it's just a really good reminder for everybody who feels like, oh, my relationship's tough. Everyone's relationship's tough.
Do you think that Kevin and Miguel are going to have a better relationship going forward? Do you see Kevin reaching out to Miguel to be like, I want to learn more about my dad?
Oh, heck yeah.
I think that is some good territory. And again, another thing that happens to these characters that help change the vibe of the show. Once you have drama and that change, things are happening.
Well, and let's be real. Kevin needs a buddy, okay? Kevin wants someone to just go to Target with him in the middle of the day, and everybody else has real jobs. And Miguel seems to be retired. Yep. So I think Kevin's going to be new besties with Miggy, and they're going to go to Target and just explore the dollar bins together, go get little frappuccinos in the in-store Starbucks, and have a blast.
Get some graphic T-shirts.
See?
They're going to be walking around with both Tide T-shirts.
Yes, love it. So Miguel, he's on the up and up. Kate and Toby. I loved their just rapid fire question time, which I feel like, so many relationships have. You kind of get to that point where tell me this. I still do that with you at generally 11:30 at night?
Much to my dismay. Yes. And you talk about
the same question
for the past 3 nights.
I've asked a question and fallen asleep mid-listening.
The question was, do you think dragons existed? And why do all these different cultures who never met each other talk about dragons?
Could
she didn't even realize she was asking me. She did it 3 nights in a row.
I fell asleep during each one of his responses. And last night while I was asking, and I was saying, do you think dragons really existed? Or did they just find dinosaur bones and they thought it was dragons? Because all these different countries had dragon references and they didn't really communicate. And Blake goes, are you joking? You've now answered the same exact question for the past 3 nights. And you've fallen asleep every time when I've and he's like, and secondly, why are you asking this question at 11:30 at night? Why is this what you want to talk about? And then after that he says I'm the weirdest person he's ever met. And now I might believe you because I've asked you the same dragon question 3 times in a row. Anyway,
okay.
All right, guys. All right, let's wipe our tears. Let's get back to Kate and Toby. Kate and Toby. I just loved it, and I'm proud of Toby for saying we need to pump the brakes.
Yes.
Not just because he needs to know these answers, but I think there's a big part of Toby that says, girlfriend's got some baggage. Okay,
yeah.
She just got kicked out of camp.
Yeah.
Right. She 1 month ago wanted to have gastric bypass surgery. I think we just need a simmer.
Well, he was right.
Simmer.
They broke up. They had surgery. She wanted to get surgery. She goes to fat camp. This relationship has not been built on the strongest of foundations on the planet.
And neither of them are working. How are you going to pay for a wedding? Where are your jobs?
So I get and I appreciate where Toby is coming from when it relates to their to their relationship, because it's a disaster.
Let's dive in.
Let's do it. What do you got?
Kevin and Randall.
Oh, freaking awesome.
That flashback of Kevin walking by Randall's room as he's having this complete meltdown over his paper, and seeing how, the 2 parents were able to kind of divvy them up, that Jack went and took care of Randall, and Rebecca took care of Kevin and Kate and everything. And I got nervous when Beth said she had to go for her mom. I thought, oh God, this isn't going to be good.
Right.
And of course, William's in such poor health. He took a turn for the worse.
Right. And the way that they're showing how Randall is unable to read the screens and it's going in and out of focus and everything.
Slippery Slytherin Sanjay had to read it for him.
You're a wizard, Harry.
And I'm going to say this. When Sanjay took his iPad,
Right. I don't think
I thought it was friendship. I thought it was, oh my God.
Something's wrong.
Something's wrong and I'm going to help out. It wasn't like a smirk.
Yeah.
And to see a tear come down Randall's cheek
my God.
in that meeting.
Sterling K. Brown is such my binky in this show. It hurts. Like when that tear came, like I started to like get upset. Like I was like, oh my God, dude.
Oh,
like,
yes.
I cannot believe that just happened. And as much as I loved that portion of the episode, the flashback when Kevin was walking past Randall's room and knowing what had happened when Kevin was talking about having sex with his parents and Jack starts to have the conversation. He's like, all right, condoms, yada, yada. But all of a sudden, Randall just comes waltzing down and takes over the whole thing. And it leaves Kevin alone because, they got to take care of Randall, who's freaking out. Knowing that and knowing that Kevin and Randall didn't have the best relationship in the whole planet. And Kevin walks by Randall's room as he's sitting in front of a computer and Randall's just sobbing. And he just walks by. And then editing that with Kevin understanding, I'm thinking about what my dad would do after Sloane asks him, can you believe this? Or what are you thinking? And he's running out and everything. I think that was my first pants off moment for This
Kevin?
Is Us.
Or for This Is Us as a show.
Yeah, for This Is Us as a show. That might be my first pants off moment. That was incredible. It was really good.
It blew your mind.
It blew my mind. And I can't say it blew my mind, but it just... seeing Kevin, who has gone from that flashback to leaving the most important thing. He's worried this entire episode about what people are going to say about him. He's going to fail. The New York Times is there. You have Sloane helping him out. Everyone is wanting to go to this thing. It's a big premiere. And he just says, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what my dad would do. And I'm going to go take care of Randall. And when he is holding Randall and he's sitting in a corner crying and like, what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like, those videos of like reporters who have like a stroke on camera.
Yes.
And they're like, blah, 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 and they can't speak.
Yes.
That's what it reminded me of. Where Randall he was saying words, but his brain was on autopilot.
Yeah.
He was checked out.
Hey, well, you can't, there's like not even words. I mean, hopefully those of you listening haven't had moments of that much stress and worry and concern and sadness and disappointment. But, sometimes this universe is cruel and you just don't get a break.
Right.
You don't get a break so much that you can't sleep, you can't eat, and your brain is a very fickle thing, and it gave up on Randall.
Right.
And to see Kevin, as you said, give up. He produced the show. He had all these people there that he was worried about, and he just left. Poor Sloane. Oh,
Sloane is not going to be happy.
Sloane is going to go get a voodoo doll with Kevin's face on it after this.
Because it's her play that she wrote.
It's her play.
Not only did she write it, she's acting in it.
Oh my
as the
goodness.
lead. It's crazy. But it just goes to show you that each character in this episode had not completed, but had an actual arc that they began in one place, and by the end of the episode, they were in a completely different place. And that is good writing.
And how amazing that you think about we got to see where Randall and Kevin were when their father died.
Right.
I mean, Kevin's looking at his brother crying, feels a little bad about it, but still just takes a shower, doesn't say hi or anything to him. And now here, Randall's birth father is about to die.
Right.
And they're in a completely different place. Kevin actually lives with him.
Right.
Okay. Not close with their mom. Mama just lied, but Randall's going to have Kevin there.
Right.
And I'm really, really thankful for that. And what a turn at 36 years old to have this turn in your relationship where once again, because of Jack Pearson, family is everything.
Right. And I love the ending, not because it's sad, not because, it is sad what happens to Randall, and it is sad that he's breaking down, and the episode did a fantastic job of showing him break down with each and every moment that he's on screen. It builds and builds. It starts with the running and Kevin catching up to him and all that other stuff. But it's actually kind of hopeful because Kevin is there.
Correct.
Kevin is there to take care of him. And it shows that their family, they've moved on, they've grown. And that is when you know you have good writing, because sad is sad. It's easy to write sad. Anybody can say this person dies or this person gets sick or whatever. But when you have a relationship and you've created feelings, not only between characters in a show, but for viewers that are laid on those characters, and you can take a sad moment and translate that into a hopeful moment, you've done your job. And this episode has done that in spades.
All the claps.
I truly enjoyed this episode, except for Duke the Dink.
There you go.
What a freaking dink that kid is. All right, you ready to close out this show, my darling?
I am.
All right, let's do it.
So here we are. We're cruising along through the summer, gearing up, because of course season 3 is going to be coming up soon. So we're going to keep catching up, guys. These
September
episodes are going to be
25th,
coming
by the way.
fast and furious. And what you can do to help get the word out about This Is Us Too is to screenshot when you're listening to this podcast and just share in an Instagram story or Facebook story. You don't need to put it on your wall if you want to. That would be amazing. But just share in this story. We want to give a huge thanks to Les Blast, who on iTunes said, I love Mary and Blake's Outlander cast, and I was thrilled when they started a podcast about my second favorite show, This Is Us. I'm rewatching the series with each episode of the podcast, and it's so much fun. They're great about pointing out themes and points of the TV craft I didn't even notice with the first watch. I'm rediscovering and falling in love with the show all over again.
Yes.
Thank you, Les Blast. Guys, take a moment to leave us a written review on iTunes. It means the world to us. I'm Mary.
My name is Blake.
And this is Us Too.